Hello engineers, my name is Teacher Richard and I am very excited to be building a LEGO project with you today. The project we're going to be building is the Drumming Robot project from our customized take-home kits that you should have out in front of you so that all the pieces are close by and ready to grab. You should also have your blueprints in front of you, okay, so that in case you get lost or you get stuck on a step, you can have those in front of you as a reminder of exactly which pieces need to go where, okay? But I'm gonna be going step by step with you so we can build this awesome project. And today we're gonna be learning about how we can use a simple piece like this called a cam, okay, to turn circular motion into up and down motion, all right? We're gonna see if we can spin a cam in a circle and if we can make our drumming robot's arms go up and down to a certain beat, okay? Engineers a long time ago figured out that you could use cams to make this happen, so I'm excited to show you with our very first project today, okay? So we're gonna get started right on step one. I'm gonna use my longest red brick, okay? And that's gonna be the foundation for our drumming robot. Now, whenever we're building the foundation for a project, we always want to start with the largest piece on the bottom and then have the pieces get smaller as we go up. That's going to make sure it's as sturdy as possible so that it won't fall over or break once we start moving it around, okay? So I'm starting with my 15-hole red brick on the bottom and then my 7-hole red brick on top of that. A reminder, engineers, that sometimes your pieces might be a different color than mine, but as long as it's the same shape and size, that's the most important part, okay? Because it's the shape and size that determine if it's going to be able to perform the function or the job that we want, okay? So if your pieces are a different color than mine, that is okay. We just want to make sure it has the same number of holes or dots and it's the same shape, okay? So I'm using my 15-hole on the bottom and then my 7-hole red on top of that, and my 3-hole brick on top of that, and then our single brick, okay, right on the other end of our red one, okay, exactly like this. And then on top of that, we are going to put our very thin, okay, our very thin 4-dot brick, all right? And these thin bricks, okay, are very useful when we want to get something to a very specific height, okay? But if we used another one of these bricks, it would make it too tall, okay? And I don't know if you know this, but if you use 3 of these thin rectangle bricks, that is the same size as one regular size brick. That's the same height, okay? So I made one side of my foundation like this. All right, I'm gonna put that right there. And then we're gonna do the same thing, okay, on the other side. So we're gonna make a mirror image of it. All right, so we're gonna do 2 of the exact same thing. So I already connected them all together. All right, so now we have 2 of the exact same foundation pieces. All right, so that our drumming robot will be nice and balanced, okay? And then to connect them together, I'm gonna use my 7-hole thin rectangle brick, okay? And I'm gonna connect that onto my 1-hole brick on one side, and then I'm gonna connect it to my 1-hole brick on the other side as well, okay? And this is how we can connect these 2 pieces together. All right, and the reason that we used the thin pieces on this side was so that it would be the same height when we use the thin piece that goes across here, okay? And then to help lock all of those in place, we are going to add 1 more 7-hole brick on top, right like that. Okay, so now your foundation should feel pretty sturdy. You can move it up and down and it's not gonna break, okay? That's the goal with what we just did here. All right, and now we're ready to add the arms onto our drumming robot. Okay, so now I'm gonna flip to the next page of the blueprints because we are now on step 3, all right? And for this step, we're gonna take our gray connector pegs, okay? And we're gonna put 1 on the last hole on our top brick like this. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, okay? So I have this one on this side, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna put it on the top hole on this side, and now this is what your project should look like. Okay, and I'm gonna set that down right there. And then for the arms, okay, we are going to take our 11 hole brick, okay, and we're going to connect it on the last hole right here, and we're going to connect that into the gray connector peg. All right, now the cool thing about these gray connector pegs is that it keeps these pieces together, but it also has a little bit of freedom so that it can move and pivot, okay? Kind of like how our shoulder blade keeps our arm connected to our chest, right? But we can still move it freely, okay? So just like our shoulder blades would help us drum in real life, okay, these gray connector pegs are gonna act like our shoulder blades so our robot can drum in real life, okay? So I have that on one end, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other end. I'm gonna connect it into the last hole, right like that. Okay, now it can freely move up and down. All right, and then I'm going to fold these back so that they're out of the way for our next step, okay? Because our next step, we're gonna use the longest axle in your kit, okay? These might just look like a stick, all right, but they're actually an axle. That's the engineering term for them. And they provide a very important function, okay, because these grooves on them, if you feel the grooves, these grooves make it so that they can fit into any piece that has a plus sign shape like this. Okay, so it has one plus sign here, another one here, another one here, another one there, or a brick like this that also has a plus sign at the bottom of it. Okay, like right there. So any piece that looks like that, we can connect our axle to it, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my cam piece, okay, and I'm gonna put my axle through the front hole on our two red bricks, and then I'm gonna connect our cam, on the bottom slot, okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's another one down here that's separate from the rest. I'm gonna connect that right here. So it's connected to my axle, okay? And then on this side, I have my cam facing up, all right? So on the other side, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my second cam, okay, because you should have 2 of these in your kit. I'm gonna take my second one and I'm gonna flip it upside down, all right? And so now this hole that's by itself is on the top, and I'm gonna put it facing down on the other side. So now we have one cam facing up and the other cam facing down. And as we spin them, you'll see that they're gonna alternate, okay? Now it's really important which direction you have the cams facing, because that's how we can control the beat that our drumming robot drums to, okay? So we have our arms in place. I'm gonna fold them back over, and we wanna make sure that the arms are touching the cam. So you're gonna wanna push these cams really tight so there's no space in between the cam and the red brick, okay? So that we make sure that the cam can help hold up the arm on our drumming robot, okay? So now I'm gonna take my fingers and I'm gonna hold the end of the cam, I'm gonna spin it, and I'm gonna see if it makes the arms go up and down. All right, is it working? Okay, hopefully yours should be doing this as well. Okay, if it's not, check to make sure the cams are tight, because if I pull it out just a little bit, like this, all right, and now there's space where this arm, okay, isn't gonna go up and down because it's missing the cam. So I'm gonna fold this arm back and I'm gonna make sure this cam is nice and tight. All right, there we go. All right, and now our robot is drumming, okay, engineers? Now, just like real drummers, they can drum with their hands if they want, okay? But if you're drumming for a long time, if you've ever drummed before and you've been drumming for a long time, you know that your hands could get really sore, okay? And some concerts, they can go up to 2 or 3 hours. So if a drummer's playing a lot of songs, they're definitely gonna need drumsticks so that their hands don't get sore, okay? So let's add some drumsticks onto our drumming robot. All right, and for our drumsticks, we're gonna use these pieces right here. These big, long, curved pieces, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a connector peg like this that has grooves on one end and is smooth on the other end, all right? And we're going to put the groove end, then with the grooves, right into the last piece, the last slot on these long blue pieces, okay? And so now you can see that it goes in like that. So the grooves should be pointing into the blue piece, and then the smooth half is going to be ready to pop right onto the end of the drumming robot's arm, okay? And so this can also pivot up and down so we can make sure it's the right height, but it's going to stay sturdy wherever you leave it. When you let go, it's going to stay there, okay? So that'll help us get it to the right height so that our robot will actually make some noise when it drums, right? Because it's cool to make the arms go up and down, but we want to hear that music, okay? So now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to take the groove end, I'm going to put it into the last slot on my curved blue piece, push it in, connect it right into the last hole on the arm, all right? And now we can test it out and see if it's working. Okay, it's definitely working. To make it a little bit easier to turn this axle, okay, I'm gonna connect a piece right here. This is a lever or a crank, okay? I'm gonna connect the crank over on this end. What I like to do is I like to push the axle as far down to that end as I can so that we have a little bit extra room over here. And then I connect our crank. So now it's easier to turn because we can hold the crank as we turn it, okay? And now our drumming monkey is going up and down, right? Nice and fast. Now to adjust to make sure that it's actually hitting the ground, I'm gonna push them down. All right, I'm gonna put the cam on this side flat, I'm gonna push it down. Now, our drumming robot is actually drumming, right? That's pretty awesome, isn't it, engineers? Okay, however, doesn't really look like a robot yet, does it? Okay, at this point, I would say that this project is functional, which means it can work. It does its job, right? If we need it to drum for a concert, it can do its job. However, it definitely needs some more design, doesn't it? Okay, and this is the part of the project that's pretty cool because you get to choose exactly how your robot looks. Okay, so I'm gonna flip over to step 7 of our blueprints. Okay, and this is where we get into the design aspect. All right, and this is where I know that you engineers can make it look even cooler than the version I showed in the blueprints. Okay, so I'm going to build it like the blueprints show. All right, but feel free to change or modify yours, okay, so that it looks the way you would want a drumming robot if it was playing in your band. Let's pretend that you were the guitarist or you were the lead singer in a band. How would you want to design your drumming robot, okay? So that part is up to you, but I'm going to show you the way I do it, and hopefully it'll give you some ideas. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 rectangles, okay, and I'm going to stack them on top of each other, and then I'm going to take our circle 4-dot piece. All right, and I'm going to put both of those on top of my 3 rectangles. And I'm going to connect all of these right onto the gray brick that's going across and connecting our 2 foundation pieces. Okay, so I'm going to connect that on there. All right, engineers. And then I'm going to connect, here we go. Then I'm going to connect a single hole brick like this. I'm going to put in a gray connector peg like this. I'm going to put it right on top. To make our next piece, we're going to use our 2 sloped pieces. Okay, so one of these sloped pieces has 2 dots on the top, and the other one has 4 dots on the top. And these go together because you take the one with the 4 dots on top and you put it like this, and then you take the other one and you connect it together right like that. Okay, so now you have a couple options for how you want to design your drumming robot. Okay, when I was designing mine, I was thinking that this would kind of be the mouth and the tongue sticking out, okay, and then this would be the nose. All right, but you could easily switch it and say that this is the mouth, right, and this is the nose. Oops, and this is the nose. Okay, so it's completely up to you how you want yours to look. Okay, but then on top of that, I'm going to add 2 eyeballs. 1, 2. All right, and then with the hair, okay, I got a little crazy with my hair because I figured it was a rock star. I think rock stars probably sometimes they have crazy hair, so I made mine a little bit crazy. I put I put this piece on first, my 3-dot rectangle, and then I connected this 7-hole oval shaped piece, and then I want to give it some spiked hair. Whoops, there we go. Uh-oh. That haircut knocked his head off. There we go. A lot of times it's easier, engineers, to put the pieces on first, connect these two pieces on, and then add that like that. And even I forget that sometimes. And then for the crazy spiked hair, I'm gonna use some red. Let's give him some red spikes, like that. Is that a pretty cool looking drumming robot? Okay, this is one version of how you can design it. Okay, I'll show you a couple other versions in a second. But first I wanna talk a little bit about how these cams work exactly. Okay, so let's give it a test. I mean, we got him all dressed up. We might as well make sure he can drum, right? Oh yeah, he can drum, and it sounds good, right? Okay, so right now, our drumming robot is doing a 1-2 beat. So it's going like this, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you do it at home with me? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But what would happen if we wanted to change the beat the drumming robot was drumming to? What if instead of doing 1, 2, 1, 2, we wanted it to do this? 1, 1, 1, 1. How do you think we could change the way our robot drums, the beat that our robot drums to? Okay, if you guessed adjusting the cams, then you were right, okay? Because when we're working with cams, the direction the cam is facing is really going to change the way our project works, okay? So I'm gonna take this crank off on this side, okay? And I'm taking this cam off on this side here, and notice how this cam is facing up over here, okay? So I'm gonna hold the axle in place with my fingers, and then on this end, I'm gonna have the cam facing up as well. So now they're facing the same direction as each other, okay? Now before you test it, I want you to think, what beat is the robot gonna drum to, okay? I want you to think about that. See if you can predict which beat it's gonna drum to before we actually start turning it, okay? Because a big part of being an engineer is being able to make an adjustment and then think in your head, how is that adjustment gonna change the way my project works, okay? Because some projects are really, really expensive to build, right? Like if you're building an airplane or a space shuttle. So to do a test with it, if the test goes wrong and it breaks, it could be a really expensive test and take a long time to fix it, right? So a lot of times engineers will make a change and then they will try to guess in their head, okay, or using a computer, how is this gonna affect the way it works? All right, so let's see if you guessed properly. So I'm gonna adjust the arm back down and we're gonna crank it. There we go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So now it's doing it twice as loud, but it's hitting it half as often, right? It used to hit it twice. Now it only hits it once, but it's much louder, right? Okay, so now let's see if we can figure out a way to make our robot drum, okay, the same beat as before, the 1-2 beat. Okay, but we're gonna pretend that one of the robot's arms is tired, okay, from doing too many shows, all right? So let's say that this arm needs to take a break for a night, all right? But as they say in show business, the show must go on. So how can we make it so that this arm does the work of both arms? All right, so I'm gonna take this crank off, and I'm going to add this cam, okay, facing the opposite direction of the other cam. All right, so now both cams are on the same side. All right, let's see what happens Now to make sure that this axle doesn't slide at all, because I took the cam off, I'm going to add a bushing or a lock so that we can lock it in place. Okay, and so now it won't slide at all, and we can make sure the cams stay in the right place. And now I'll put the crank over on this side so it's easier to turn. All right, and let's see how it works. Got to adjust it down a bit. There we go. Okay, so now by putting two cams on the same side but facing opposite directions, our robot is drumming twice as fast. So it can make the same 1-2 beat only using one hand. Okay, so this is a way that we can adjust cams to change the beat our monkey's drumming to. All right, and we can even give our robot is drumming to, excuse me, and we can even give its arm a night off at the concert. Now what happens if I put its cams like this? One facing up and one facing to the side. So they're not opposite of each other, okay, but they're still in different directions. Let's see what that does. Okay, you'll see that if the cams are too close together, it doesn't have a chance to go back down and make a sound before it falls again, okay? So you can't just keep adding more and more cams and increase how fast the robot is drumming. All right, so we're gonna have to take it and put it back facing the opposite direction like before if we want to get that 1-2 beat and have it going twice as fast as normal. Okay, so there is a limit to how many cams you can add to where you'll still be able to do the job that you want, okay? And to prove exactly why cams are so important, all right, I want to show you why it has to be shaped like this, okay? Why does it have to be shaped like an oval or an egg, okay? So on this side, I'm going to take off my lock, and I'm just going to add a wheel, okay? Because you might think, well, why do we need a cam if we can just use wheels and that will do the same job? All right, so I'm going to put this arm back down. Uh-oh, I knocked his head off. That happens a fair amount. There we go. Put his Rockstar hair back on. There we go. Going to put this arm back down. Okay, so this side has the cam on it. This side has the wheel. All right, you'll see that the wheel, there we go, we got to adjust it down a little bit. The wheel, since it's shaped like a circle, it doesn't give it any room for this arm to go up and then down, okay? So the oval shape of the cam, the unique oval shape, is what makes it possible to make our robot's arm go up and down. Okay, any type of circular piece isn't going to perform the same function because there's nothing that doesn't have space for the arm to go down, okay? The cam, because of its oval shaped, when the oval's up, it lifts it up, and when it's anywhere else, it gets to fall back down to the ground, okay? So that's why some very smart engineers had to test out different shapes and sizes of their cams to figure out the right one, all right? Now, let's say that we have both of our cams back on this side, okay? Do you think there are any other pieces in your kit that would be able to perform the job of a cam? Okay, so we know that it can't be a circle, all right? It has to have a hole like this, the plus size hole, so that the axle can connect to it. I want you to look in your kit and see if you think any pieces fit that criteria. It's where it's not a circle, it's kind of an odd shape, and it can still attach to the axle, okay? Now, I am very thankful for the engineer, okay, who showed me that they tested out this piece and it worked for them, because I didn't know this piece would work, but an engineer just like you in one of my classes tried this piece, okay? They did an experiment with this piece that looks like an L, all right, and look at what they discovered. So I'm going to attach the L so that the hole that looks like a plus symbol is going to go into the axle. On this side, okay, so on this side I have both my cams. On this side I have my L-shaped piece. Gonna make sure it's pushed in nice and tight against the axle. I'm gonna put both of the robot's arms down. There we go, there we go. And now we're gonna crank it. Check that out, engineers. Okay, so this L-shaped piece can perform the same job that a cam can, right? And it has different timing than a cam because it is a different shape. Okay, so it lifts the arm up higher because the L is taller, and then when it comes down with more force, all right, and it makes for a louder drum beat. All right, so now this arm over here is doing 2 beats for every one that this arm is doing, but this arm, the noise that it makes is louder because it's pushing it up higher into the air. Okay, so you can test out that L-shaped piece and the cam pieces to try to make the song that you enjoy the most. Okay, and thank you to the engineer who helped me discover that you could use this piece as a cam, as a different version of a cam as well. Okay, so now I'm going to put my cams back on either side like the original blueprint show. All right, and because you've been doing so great on this project, engineers, I have a bonus challenge that I wanted to give you. All right, do you think you're up for a bonus challenge? Okay, here is our bonus challenge today. When you are a rock star, okay, and you're in a musical group, you need to go to different cities to perform your concerts, okay? And to get to those cities, you need to drive from city to city, okay? So I want, excuse me, to challenge you to see if you can add some wheels onto your drumming robot so that it can drive from city to city without having to be taken apart, okay? So we know that you have your wheels, right, in your kit. So let's see if we can use these wheels, all right, and connect them to the bottom of our drumming robot, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of our connector pegs that has grooves on one side, and I'm gonna put it right into the middle of my wheel like this, all right? And I'm gonna put it on the back, the very back hole, right like there. And I'm gonna do the same thing. Okay, another connector piece with grooves. It's okay if it's a different color. And I'm gonna do the same thing and put this wheel back here, okay? Now, I believe that you are out of connectors with grooves, all right? But that's okay because we can use a different piece, and this will show you a different way that you can also connect wheels onto your drumming robot, okay? I'm gonna take the axles that we were using for the Spytair, all right? And I'm going to put it in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4th hole back, okay? And then I'm going to take my bushing or lock piece, and I'm gonna put it on the inside. I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm gonna put it on the inside, right like that. Okay, so now my axle can slide this way, but not this way, okay? And then I'm gonna put my wheel on this side. Now the reason I put them 4 holes back is that if you put the wheel in this first hole right here, okay, when the cam spins, the cam would hit it, okay? So that's why I didn't put the wheel right here. I had to move it here so that the cam can spin freely without hitting the wheel, okay? So now I'm gonna put the lock tight right there so that the axle has no room to slide around. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4 holes back. Gonna add my connector peg. Excuse me, not my connector peg. My lock. There we go. Gonna add my lock on this side. Gonna add my wheel right here. And just like that, our drumming robot is ready to cruise town to town, okay, without having to get disassembled at all. All right? So hopefully you were able to complete that challenge, All right. One more thing I wanted to show you is I said that I would show you a different way to make a face, okay, to give you some more design ideas. So I wanted to show you how we can do that. All right, so let's get rid of these square eyes, okay? And then I'm gonna get rid of that connector peg right there. All right, and let's see if we can make a face that can spin in circles. All right, make it a little crazy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my circle eyes that look like this, and I'm gonna take my black connector peg, okay? I'm gonna put the eye right on the end of the peg. It's a perfect fit, just like that, okay? And then I'm gonna put the black connector peg into my big gear like this. And I'm gonna do the same thing with my other eye. All right, now this piece right here, this big circle piece, this is called a gear. We're gonna learn all about these gear pieces in future projects, but for today, we can use it as a funny face. All right, so now I'm going to build this up a little bit taller. I'm just gonna use some more single brick pieces like this. So then my gear has plenty of room to spin, so it doesn't hit this part right here. And now, check that out, engineers. Okay, I just gave my drumming robot a whole new look. Okay, and of course I could add some more crazy hair if I wanted to. You could add all 4 eyeballs on here if you wanted to. You can even try to figure out how to connect more gears so that they're spinning at the same time. Okay, we'll go over that more in our future projects. All right, but I wanted to give you another idea for how you can design the face on your drumming robot. Okay, so engineers, awesome job building this week. This was not an easy project, okay, but thank you for staying focused until the very end and completing my bonus challenges. I hope that you have fun playing with your drumming robot. If you have any tin cans in your house, you can put those underneath the drumsticks of your robot so that when it goes up and down, and you can, remember, always adjust the height of the drumstick, and then you can have it hit those metal cans and it will make a completely different sound, okay? It'll be like you're hitting the metal cymbals on a real drum set, okay? So that's another fun way to play different songs with your drumming robot. Okay, engineers? I hope that you had fun learning all about cams. Before we go, I would like to tell you about something in your house that uses cams. If you have an electric toothbrush that you use before bed, okay, I want you to look closely when you turn your electric toothbrush on, and I want you to see if your electric toothbrush, we know that it spins in circles, okay? The head part on the very top spins in circles, but some of them also go up and down really fast, okay? And if your electric toothbrush does that, then that means that inside of your electric toothbrush is a tiny little cam, okay, that's spinning in circles and making it go up and down, all right? The cam that would be in your electric toothbrush would be even smaller than this one, right? Because your electric toothbrush is pretty small and it has to be really tiny to fit in there. All right, but it probably looks a lot like this one, just a miniature version. And your electric toothbrush can go up and down hundreds of times a minute, okay, because it's connected to a motor. All right, so that is just one project or one object in your house that you might have that actually uses cams, okay? And hopefully you use that twice a day, right? Right when you wake up and right when you go to bed. So next time you're brushing your teeth, check your electric toothbrush and see if it goes up and down at all. And if it does, now you know how it works. All right? Thank you for all your hard work today, engineers. I cannot wait to see you next week for another fun project. Have a great day.